Hello, how's it going, everybody? My name is Eric Good. I am co-founder of the Wound Healers and creator of the idea for the program. I want to talk to you just today about my story. So you can get an idea of who I am as well as how I have used these tools to better myself and find healing and balance in my life. So, guess if we want to take this all the way back, trigger warning here, maybe some talk of SA and sex addiction, things like that, drug abuse. And so when I was younger, a kid, I was molested, and I didn't really understand what had happened to me, and I didn't really process it for decades. Took me a long time to acknowledge it, to understand what had happened, to even know that it happened. You know, you go into where you just kind of block it out. But because of that, well, I don't want to say but because of that, but due to that, I ended up down a long path of sex addiction, pornography addiction, which led into constantly needing to fill this hole and void I had with drugs and validation and things like that. And I spent many years basically down that path of destruction, of doing all of the wrong things to try to fill that void and to heal myself, and not really understanding what was going on. And the drugs really and the alcohol just helped bury what had happened, bury the feelings, and helped me justify the things that I was doing. And it wasn't until the drug addiction landed me in a place where I ended up homeless, with nobody and nothing, because I burnt every bridge imaginable. My family, my friends, I lost all of my friends. Nobody was willing to really help me anymore. And during that time, there was a friend of mine that I reached out to in kind of a desperate situation, not really knowing what to do. And he, one day, kind of just started talking about Gnosticism and yoga and Kundalini and the way the world works and why things are the way they are and how the manipulation has occurred. And I started to realize that although I made the decisions to do what I did and put myself in the situations that I was in, that I was not the problem. That I did deserve to still live and to better myself and to get sober, to figure out who it is that I am, what it is that I want to do with my life. And during this time, I was also on a warrant for public intoxication from being homeless. I got drunk at a park and the cops showed up and arrested me, and when they let me out, I never went to my court date, whatever. And I ended up spending a couple months with this guy, learning a lot, where he was just teaching me all these things, and I started learning about meditation and started trying to incorporate some of these practices and doing my own research at the library and online about Kundalini and yoga and different healing modalities and trying to understand the world and the way things are. And during that time, I eventually got picked up on that warrant and ended up in jail. And in jail, that was the first time that I had been sober in a long time, which was a truly powerful experience because it forced me to face the things that I had been ignoring. Because even during the time where I was exploring these healing modalities, I was still hanging out with people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with, who used, psychedelics and whatever else to try to enlighten themselves. And so I was doing that, but it wasn't really getting me to where I wanted to be. It just was, as they call it, a back door, into that realm. And so when I got to jail, I finally sobered up and I continued these practices. I continued yoga. Luckily, there was a guy who was in my unit in jail that had known yoga, had done some yoga, and so he would take us through yoga and we would do yoga, and I would spend a lot of my time meditating and reading. And I also met Rob Zander, who I know I've talked about before, but he was the co-founder of My Child's Life Matters. He recently passed away, but this was about 9 years ago when I met him, and he was into a lot of the same things, not so much the yoga and things like that, but trying to understand how the world works, why the world works the way it does. But he was going through it through the lens of Christianity, where I was going through it through the way of Eastern traditions. And we found this way to connect and find similarities and comparisons between the two that allowed us to form a relationship where we could listen to each other and relate to each other. But during this time was also when I started to finally, remember and understand what had happened to me and process it for the first time and start to forgive myself. But it also started me on a 8-year-long journey of healing myself, and which, there's been many ups and downs throughout these 8 years. It's not like I've been a ascetic, perfect, yogi or whatever over the past 8 years, but it led me into really, really wanting to better myself, because Rob and I decided that we wanted to make sure that people had a place to go, in a way out, and a way to heal themselves in a way that was accessible and open to everybody, no matter what their background, denomination, anything was, beliefs. And so for 8 years, I spent just training, studying, learning, falling, picking myself up again. And eventually I found myself in Taoism through the teachings of Mantak Chia, who is well known for his teachings on how to transmute this sexual energy and life force energy. I had been struggling with sex and porn and everything and drugs for so long that I didn't even know how to break that bondage. And his teachings truly transformed my life and helped me gain control over this power that we all have, and learn to transmute it into other things, into bettering myself, into being able to heal others and help others, and form better relationships with people around me. And through that, I really got into Chinese martial arts, Tai Chi, Qigong, as well as Kung Fu. Wing Chun Kung Fu is something that has been truly beneficial and amazing in my life that I'm very grateful I learned, as well as Qigong, And I really just dedicated myself to those practices, especially over the past 3, 4 years, of just trying to transform this life force energy we all have inside of us into um, a power that I could be proud of, and um, I could share with the rest of the world. And I spent years trying to figure out how I was going to do that. I went down I was also a musician for a long time. And so I thought that was going to be my way of spreading this message, was, creating music and making conscious music and trying to explain the way that things are and spread a message of hope and togetherness and wholeness. And it didn't feel authentic to me. As much as I love making music, as much as I love writing and all that, it just didn't feel like that was the right path for me. And so a couple years ago, I decided to officially get certified in teaching yoga and qigong and some other healing modalities and things like that, breath work, and as well as just different topics on metaphysics. And I went through a very extensive program to learn as much as I possibly could about all of those things. And that's where we are today, is kind of the culmination of everything I've been through, everything I've learned, everything I've studied and practiced and trained for, was to figure out, how can I put this all together into a way that I can share this with others and help them on their healing journey, without telling them this is the only way and this is the way you have to do it, but this is one of the ways that it worked for me. And this is just kind of the structure that the world works, as we explained with the pyramid verse and the way that the Wounded Healer's journey works. So I'm really excited and really looking forward to getting to know everybody and seeing how your journeys go and watching you all grow and become the Wounded Healers that you are. If you ever have any questions, never hesitate to reach out to me about anything. I'm also trauma-informed yoga certified and a lot of things. I have a lot of tools in my toolbox. A lot of them are going to be in the program, but there's also, different directions you can go. And, I'm also a personal trainer. So there's the fitness aspect side of things that I can help with, and diet, nutrition. I do know a lot about Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine. So I'm here as a resource and a tool. I wanted to be vulnerable and express, the things that I've been through and share my story with you, so you could know that I'm not just like some rich dude trying to start something. I mean, I live in a, apartment in Illinois, and I'm just trying to figure this all out. But I also am still going through my own healing journey and processing things, and constantly learning. And I'm looking forward to learning from this and working with you all. So, wholeness, have a blessed day.